Hello everyone. So, this month I've been working as much as I can on the new roots object entity. The roots object is a very, very important part of the new server that I'm making. This roots object entity is a highly versatile and highly configurable entity. It's something that I use to replace things like props and weapons and interactive objects, which would normally all be different types of entities that I would have to program separately. Now, with how I'm making new roots, where everything is interconnected, everything is physically simulated, the roots object is central to all of that, replacing all of the old ways of designing these things in something like Garry's mod and the source engine. I just want to go down a different path that works better for how roots is designed. This custom entity type allows for a very high level of depth in complexity in specific objects. However, a very important thing is that because of how I'm designing it, it also allows me to make new items with lots of complexity relatively easily, because the base system, all the underlying background code, is itself already very versatile. This new entity type is capable of being everything from a 9mm pistol to a crowbar to a watermelon to a random scrap vehicle or a container that you can store items in. It can be food, it can be a syringe filled with medicine, even electrical generators, batteries, combined power outputs, health vials, you name it. If it's an interactive object in the server, most likely it is a roots object. Containers, for example, have a high level of physical simulation to them. They have limited storage based on their size, and they don't exist outside of the world. They are not personal storage. Anything that you put in it is still subject to the environment. For example, if you put something inside of a box and the box falls into the water, then both the container and, if the interior is not completely sealed, the contents of the container will get soaked with water. That said, a container can also have special properties, like for example, heating something up or cooling it down in the cases of something like an oven or a refrigerator. And containers will, of course, shield their contents from the environment to some degree. So it is best to store things that you want to keep protected. In the case of melee weapons, the way that you physically interact with roots objects, in that you can hold and swing and throw any given object, means that there are no specific melee weapons. There are just objects. Any given object. You just swing it. Everything can be swung and inflict damage to some degree based on its own physical properties and your physical capabilities, so long as you are strong enough to pick it up and hold it in your hand. By making a new custom entity type that replaces all of the old disconnected entities, I'm able to allow greater levels of interaction between these entity types. Things that used to be somewhat janky and difficult to do, like having physically simulated ammo, is now trivial. And having seemingly complicated interactions, like a liquid container, a bucket that you leave out in the rain and collects water over time, or a bottle full of water that you can tip over to pour the water out. And furthermore, interactions, such as pouring the water into the bucket itself, is also just as easy. The majority of the work that I've done this month on the object system is in regards to its data structure, reading, writing, setting data, that sort of thing. It's all background code that there isn't really a lot to see for. I've been quite busy this month, as you might be aware, over the holidays, of course, with work. I've been working overtime, is one way of putting it. So I wasn't able to put as much time into roots as I would have liked. However, hopefully things will quiet down a bit here and I can dedicate more of my my time to it. I'd like to continue working on the item system, and ideally I can add a bit more fancy interactions like the variable physics and properties that change over time. possibly even physical interactions from the player in wielding these objects, but we'll see exactly what I can get done. I'll be updating you again next month around the same time, hopefully a little bit earlier in the month, with the progress that I've made since.